time I was in school and I heard the phrase, "All right, we're gonna get into groups now," I would start panicking. Anytime they said partner up or, "All right, find somebody you haven't worked with before," I would just start losing my mind. Because I have social anxiety and I try really hard not to make it apparent, but it's something that we all go through. We've all experienced it. We just don't call it social anxiety. We've all had to give a public presentation before where we're dealing with a crowd of people. You're interacting with other people, whether it's you just standing on a stage or actually having one-on-one interaction with the audience, but that's a social interaction. Stage fright is social anxiety. Going to a party and you're like, I don't know anybody there. I don't really want to go. That is also social anxiety. You don't want to interact with new people. It makes you scared, it makes you worried. And the most interesting of all, when you're in the bathroom, relieving yourself, and someone comes in and suddenly you just find yourself not able to finish your duties. That is another form of social anxiety. But what's the difference between these three and what I have? And the difference is what I have interferes with my regular daily life. I don't just think, I can't go to a party, I don't know anybody. I think I can't go for a walk, so I just stay at home because everybody around me is looking at me, judging me. I don't go to parties, not because, I don't know anybody there. It's because, what if I don't know what to say? And I make things awkward, and it becomes really uncomfortable for everybody there. Everybody just has that weird silence going on. Everybody just kind of looks at each other. It gets really quiet. Or maybe people are gossiping about me, or they heard that stupid thing I did the other day, and so now everybody hears, and now that's all I can think about. So what can I do about this? The first step is slow down. Because oftentimes, the biggest issue isn't the singular thought. It's that they compound upon each other. They keep growing. What I often do is what I call a 1% build-up. I think of what's that 1% thing that could happen that's really bad. You know, going to a party, spilling a drink on somebody, really embarrassing. 1% chance that that'll happen. And then I start thinking about other 1% chance things that happen. And it builds, and it builds, and it builds, until eventually I think it's not worth going, because 100% of the time it will be something bad. Not because it's 100% something will actually be bad, but because I've thought of 101% chance things that are all bad that could potentially happen, and now that's all I can think about. So what can we do as friends for people like me? The first thing is listen. Social anxiety, when it's a clinical disorder, isn't something that we can just make go away. You can get through stage fright. Oftentimes you'll hear people say, it was bigger than I imagined. It was bigger in my imagination. It wasn't a big deal. If you really sit and talk and explain to them and say, no, this is what I'm thinking. Like, I can't get past this. All of these ideas are just swirling in my head. It's a bigger problem because logically speaking, I know I'm making it a bigger deal than it actually is. But emotionally, I can't make it smaller. So take the time to listen when they explain their problems. One is a concept that I use a lot. It's the concept of what I call a social anchor. So when you have that friend who doesn't like going out, maybe it's someone like me, maybe it's somebody who just really struggles with a lot of social interaction. Be there for them. Just be that person who's willing to let them follow you around the party because they don't know anybody else. Let them be the person where like every 15 minutes they come up and say, hey, how's it going? Are you still having a good time? Because it seems so small and kind of weird and awkward. But for somebody like me, that's replenishing. Because going out and having these big scale social interactions is really draining. It takes a lot of effort. So having somebody there that can be my anchor, that's just there for me, that I can go up and say, hey, I want to just decompress with you for like 5 seconds so that way I can keep having fun. Because people with social anxiety don't hate socializing. It's just scary to get into a position to socialize. They love social interaction. By golly, I can talk people's ear off for hours about anything at all. But it takes me hours to get into a position where I can do that. I send texts to my friends, and if it's not something simple like, hey, what's going on? What's your address? What's for dinner? I spend 30 minutes over one singular sentence. Just because I assume that the person on the other end of the line, even though I know logically speaking, they love me and they care about me, that they're gonna be sitting there analyzing it like it's an episode of CSI, being like, what did they mean here? What could this possibly be? And it makes it really hard to interact with people. They find that people with social anxiety often have trouble with really strong relationships. Not because they don't love the other person, but because they're constantly thinking, well, what do they think I'm doing wrong? What about me is screwing up this relationship? This is one of my life mottos. Came up with it years ago. Don't differentiate between your victories. Big or small, they're still victories. Encourage your friends, encourage yourself. If you don't go out and socialize ever, and you make it so that way you spend 15 minutes at just any activity, and you're able to say hi to 2 people, that is impressive. That is a victory for you. Just because it may seem small to other people, doesn't mean that it's not important. It takes a lot of time to really work through these issues. It takes a lot of patience. It's not easy having me as a friend. But if you put in the time and the effort, and you really care about these people, they'll return the favor.